Los Angeles testimony resumes on Monday in the involuntary manslaughter trial of Dr. Conrad Murray. He was with Michael Jackson when he died and has been blamed for the pop singer's death. Criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor and legal analyst Holly Hughes here with a look at what's ahead. So, Holly, more than a dozen witnesses in the first week. It was amazing. It was amazing to sit there and watch close up. And I actually think the testimony, what's going on in court, is very interesting. What can we expect tomorrow?
I think we're going to see more of the same. We're going to see the prosecution put their case up chronologically in the way it happened. They started out with the backstory, as we like to call it. What happened leading up to his death? What kind of health was he in? What was the relationship between Dr. Murray and himself? How did he interact? Then we get to that terrible day, the point of death. We hear from the paramedics who were there, everybody that was on scene. We've heard from the personal chef and all those. We're going to go forward now. We're going to talk to everybody who was in the ER that had anything to do with Michael's treatment, and anybody at that hospital who might have heard something Dr. Murray said.
All right, let's talk here, because I'm sitting there, and every day I've seen almost all of the testimony in person. I'm going to ask you this, and then we'll talk. How do you think the prosecution is doing so far?
Well, they're doing a great job so far, but they should be, Don. Remember, this is what we call their case in chief.
Yeah.
If they weren't knocking it out of the park right now, they shouldn't have brought these charges.
Yeah, it's their turn.
You know what I mean?
The defense is going to get their turn soon.
Exactly.
But the prosecution, I have to say, when they started, it was like a Hollywood setup. Everything, the video, the audio, everything they did was... It's like, I wonder who produced this for
Well,
them.
let me tell you something, Don. A trial is a show.
Yeah.
And the most important audience is the folks sitting in the jury box.
Yeah.
Those are the people you're playing to. You want it to go smooth. You want them to not just be confident in your performance, as it were, but if they trust you and they think you're together in the way you present, they'll trust your witnesses and they'll trust your evidence.
The prosecution is it's almost matter of fact. What about, they ask everything. What kind of medication did you observe? When he went to the doctor to do this, just straightforward questions, and the defense comes back. And I think of Ed Chernoff almost as a Matlock type.
Well, you know what he's doing? He's brilliant, because what the prosecution is doing is making a mountain. They're piling up all these things that they hope will prove guilt. What Ed Chernoff is doing, and even Flanagan, is he's mining that mountain for nuggets. Little things that when you hear them, you don't think they're a big deal. But when he weaves all those little things together in a closing argument, you're going to go, I never thought of it like that.
Yes, and little things.
That's what he's doing.
If you mess up some word during your testimony or pretrial, he takes it all. So here's the thing. Even he's kind of trying to knock down the timeline. You could not do that in this amount of time and get up to that bedroom and be on the phone with Amir. Well, you couldn't do that. He was doing that to Alberto Alvarez. Okay, so here's the thing. How do you think the defense is doing? Because I've noticed there's been some back and forth with Ed Chernoff and the judge. They don't really get along that well. They've been butting heads.
But I'll tell you what, when you have an attorney as good as Ed Chernoff, you need to be careful, because it looks like the judge is beating up on the defense, like he's taking sides. A jury's going to buck against that. A judge is supposed to be neutral. And it does look like he's getting beat up, but Ed Chernoff can take it, because you know what he does? He doesn't blink. Yes, Your Honor. Moves right on, gets what he needs.
Okay, let's say you said little things. You wrote an article. What was your article called?
I did. It's called The State of the Case, and it's everything we've seen so far and how I think each side is doing. It's up on my Facebook page.
Something that I noticed that people at home didn't notice. We were talking about the Nation of Islam.
Yes.
Ed Chernoff keeps trying to bring that up, and the prosecution keeps saying objection, and then the judge sustains it. What they're trying to say is that the Nation of Islam was involved in Michael Jackson's security, and that in some way maybe they had a way to cover up or to set up. That's what, and all you need is reasonable doubt. Not that any of that's true, because the company is owned by someone who's in the nation. And little things like that you don't see at home. You see the family reacting to it like, oh, here he goes again. Amir. Are you referred to as Brother Amir? What does that mean?
And see, it only takes
Reel off the names of,
That's exactly right, because then you take all those little nuggets that you have mined, you weave them into this fantastic closing argument, and you say, this is a conspiracy. They are hanging this man out to dry because something much more powerful is at play here.
Because they had their own interests at heart. It's going to be so much. People at home are going to go, what the heck?
That's exactly right.
But when you're sitting there in that courtroom, you notice all the little things, all the body language.
Yes.
And I have to say, that what I had been saying all along is that, not to say anything about Conrad Murray's guilt or innocence, but can you imagine a family having to sit through that and listen to that audio tape and see their loved one up on a gurney? For the mom, my heart just went out to the mother.
Well, you know, Don, by the time we get to trial, it's always so cold and clinical. We don't have a crime scene anymore. We don't have the blood. What the prosecution is doing in this case, as they should in every case, is painting the picture. A lot of people were upset about showing Michael in that bed so we could decide. You have to. It's their burden to prove that he has passed away. And they're bringing it home for that jury. They're making him feel it just like you felt it.
The family's there every day, and they're sitting right in front of that jury, and they know they want the jury to see them. Thank you very much, Holly Hughes. We appreciate it.